Today, we're going to talk about unlocking a skill that many people are calling the single most valuable superpower in the 21st century. Seriously.
Just think about that for a second. In our world of constant pings, dings, and notifications, what one ability would give you an almost unfair advantage over everyone else?
Well, the good news is you actually already have it. It's the ability to focus, like really focus, without distraction on something that's mentally demanding. But, and this is a big but, there's a huge problem standing in our way.
We are literally in a war for our attention. Every notification, every email, every, hey, got a quick question, it's a battle for your most valuable resource. And honestly, the cost of losing that battle is way, way higher than you probably think.
Get this. 23 minutes. That number right there is the average time it takes to get your focus back after just one little interruption. Think about how many hours that's costing you every single week. It's kind of crazy. And the culprit behind all this actually has a name.
It's called attention residue. So here's the science in a nutshell. Your brain isn't really a multitasker. It's just a really fast task switcher. And every single time you switch, a little piece of your attention gets stuck on the last thing you were doing. This fragments your focus, and it makes you worse at, well, everything you do. So how in the world do we fight back?
We fight back by deliberately practicing and strengthening that superpower. And that brings us to the core idea from a computer science professor named Cal Newport. In his amazing book, he gives this superpower a name and a whole framework to go with it. He calls it deep work. Deep work. This is that state where you produce your absolute best stuff. You know that feeling of being in the zone, where time just kind of melts away and you are completely locked in on a tough task? Yeah, that's it. And it's pretty much the polar opposite of how most of us work these days.
And understanding this difference, oh man, it is everything. Deep work is tough, but it creates massive value. Things like writing important code, creating a business strategy, or truly mastering a new skill. Shallow work? That's all the easy stuff, the busy work, like replying to emails. It feels productive, for sure, but it doesn't actually move the needle.
And this right here is the central idea. As the world gets more and more distracted, the very few people who can systematically block out all that noise and just focus, they're going to be the ones who thrive. They'll learn faster and they'll produce way better results, period. Okay, so the theory makes sense, right? But how do you actually make this work in a real, messy, busy life? Well, Newport argues it's not about finding more time, it's about structuring the time you already have. And that all starts by picking a focus philosophy that actually fits your life. So you've got a few options. First, there's the monastic approach, total isolation. Think of a writer hiding out in a cabin. Then there's bimodal, where you split your week, maybe a few days for deep work, a few for everything else. Journalistic is for the pros, who can just drop into deep work on a dime. But honestly, for most of us, the rhythmic philosophy is the best place to start. It's all about building a consistent, daily habit of focused work. Now, whichever philosophy you choose, this next step is absolutely crucial. This is not about relying on willpower, because that stuff runs out. It's about engineering your environment and your habits. You have to build rituals that make going deep totally automatic. Exactly. Good intentions are, well, they're nice, but they're not enough. Routines are what really make the difference. You need to design a system that just makes it easier to start and signals to your brain, hey, it's time to focus now. And this can be a super simple, like 3-minute routine. First, decide exactly what you're going to work on. Then clear your desk, close all those extra tabs, and please put your phone in another room. Then use a clear starting signal, like putting on your noise-canceling headphones. This little sequence trains your brain to focus on command.
And what you do outside of your deep work sessions is just as important. Think about it. If you're constantly feeding your brain little hits of distraction the second you feel bored, you're actually weakening your focus muscle. So try it. Next time you're waiting in line, just wait. Don't grab your phone. This tolerance for boredom is what builds a strong capacity for concentration.
Now, just as important as starting your deep work is stopping it. At the end of your workday, create a shutdown ritual. Do a quick check for emergencies, plan out your next day so you're not worrying about it, and then literally say out loud, shut down complete. This gives your brain permission to truly rest, which is essential for doing high-quality work tomorrow. It really all comes down to the simple but incredibly powerful formula. 4 hours of fragmented, low-intensity work just can't compete with 90 minutes of pure, uninterrupted focus. By building these rituals, you are cranking up the intensity of focus part of the equation to produce world-class results.
So, what's the big payoff for all this effort? Well, when you commit to this practice, you're doing so much more than just getting more stuff done. You are fundamentally reclaiming your brain from the forces of distraction. You're changing your relationship with work and even with your own mind. And the payoff is huge. You'll master hard things way faster. You'll produce work that's really hard for others to replicate, which makes you incredibly valuable. And you'll start to feel this deep sense of satisfaction and craftsmanship that's just impossible to find when you're constantly jumping from one shallow task to another. But let's be totally clear, this is not easy. It means saying no to that constant buzz of being busy. It requires you to push past your comfort zone, for sure. But for those who are willing to take on the challenge, the rewards are absolutely life-changing. So I'll just leave you with this one question. Forget trying to change everything all at once. What is the single biggest distraction in your life right now? Maybe it's the notifications on your phone, or maybe it's that email tab you always have open.
Decide on that one thing and just eliminate it. Let us know what it is down in the comments below. Thanks so much for hanging out, and we'll see you in the next explainer.